Good afternoon. Appreciate you guys being here. Obviously, tough one on Saturday. A really tough one. Defense played really, really well in a game where we were a little bit out of sorts offensively, but the team battled really hard and gave us an opportunity to win. And as I stated, I made the wrong call. Take full ownership and not taking a knee and giving them the opportunity to have a couple of extra plays and preventing us from sealing the win. So our guys showed up, both coaches and players showed up with a tremendous attitude, which is not surprising, to get right back to work and go get better and all focus on improvement and getting ready for our opportunity this weekend and looking forward to getting after it again tomorrow. So questions, please.
Have you gotten any clarity, not related to the knee? I know you're gonna say it doesn't matter, but did you get any clarity yet from the ACC of whether Don was down?
We have not received any clarity of when his elbow was down and it was called a fumble. Have not received any clarity.
Did you request clarity on?
We have, I think that it does run its course, so we have not received anything on that and some of the other questions that we had that were, we thought were critical factors in the game.
Coach, what would change making sure that never happens again?
Well, just making the call. Like I mentioned before, I made the wrong call and I take complete ownership for it.
Mario, did you address the team with what you're saying here? Did you talk to the team about this?
Yeah, absolutely. We always talk openly and honestly, and it's no different than I'm saying now. We do it. That's all. The only way we do things around here is that way. And I think our team understands that, appreciates that. I think our team is also a team that takes accountability as a whole and as a team, and all things that we can do better. But it's also just like we ask our players, we also ask our coach to do the same, and that's what I did. And that's what I did. So.
Mario, you mentioned on the radio this morning that there's a process of deciding what to do in those kind of late game situations. What is that process? And I guess who is making decisions? Like, who are you talking to in that moment?
No, the process was followed in terms of it was time to do so. And again, I should have made the call in the end, and I did.
Mario, we haven't seen you line up, your team line up in the victory formation at all this season. Is it something that you as the coach have not believed in even in close games?
No, that's not true. We have done it before in practice. We were working for a minute. We didn't do it Saturday, and we should have. Like I mentioned before, I take complete ownership for it. Next
Coach,
question, please.
How do you bounce back in facing a tough team on the road again in another primetime game?
You do it with honesty, right, and transparency. Go and fix all the things that we can do better. Realize the opportunity in front of us. Understand what football is. Very much like life, we owe it to ourselves and to our players, to our entire organization, like we do our very own families, to look each other right in the eye and demand the best, the absolute truth from each other, so you can always go forward. And that's what we do. And the way that we train our players, the type of DNA and the players that we recruit, we expected a good response today, and that's what we got. And I think you have there's a lot of conviction in our preparation and processes, and the guys are they're very eager to get back to work and prepare for this weekend's opportunity.
It's hard to lose close games no matter the circumstance. And it's unfair to judge this team against other teams because there's been a fragility here. When they lose a close game, it goes bad. How much do you tap? You've talked all summer, all fall, even some of the spring about how this team has a better attitude, leadership, professionalism. How do you tap into that? How you need that right now? How do you tap into that to get past this?
Yes, sir. I think they've tapped in on a couple occasions this year. I think our team tapped in during the Texas A&M game when we started off in a hole and just kept climbing out of it. I think Saturday there was a lot of tap in as well. I think it's exemplified maybe in a play like Tyler's interception. How he runs 65 yards across the field and forces out of bounds and forces a field goal and gets the chance to win. And in a day where we were out of sorts, maybe in times past, maybe the team wouldn't fight back like this one did. So there's, unfortunately, the focus is on the tough part, the end result, which sucks. But always as you develop as a team, you got to realize also the moments of growth and development, and there's a lot of it there. And again, that's why it was no surprise that the eagerness, the attitude, just to look in the eye of our players today to come and go to work and get after it. So.
Mario, obviously the
tell you what I told them. I told, you know, any player that fumbled the ball, anybody that was on the field at that time, I just told them take it off of them. I just could have made it easier and kneeled it. So that's it. I don't want to point at players. I don't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I understand the question, and it's a fair question. It's just that's the way we've gone about it. You know, because again, make sure that you know when you have a company, an organization, a family, that you're able to take complete ownership when you have to, right? So you could always move forward and get better.
And Coach, any of the players that were like visibly upset on the sidelines, did any of them come to you afterwards or even now today when you met with them and show any kind of more of that leadership role or kind of step up to what they eventually will now bring to the game as a team?
Yeah, we're a pretty tight group, and so after the game yesterday, today, it's always constant communication. You know, sometimes it's group meetings or leadership council. By the way, is one that is really, I would say, just they're empowered, but they're also very convicted in leading the right way and in doing the right things and bringing others with them and lifting other people up. And they have a really good understanding of the adversity that comes with football and how you make a decision on whether pushing forward and getting better and just shake it off, wipe all the pity away and go forward. And that's the only choice that we have in this program. And that's something that I think is important for us here at Miami to make that the ability to bounce back strong, to make that tradition again. That always used to be a very strong part of our tradition here. And this is a great opportunity to go forward and put our best foot and play our best football going forward.
Crazy as this sounds, the season's half over on Saturday. The regular season's half over on Saturday night. How would you kind of assess where you are at this point, year to year, year over year? And you might be getting out of front of the industry, but nobody aspires for stats after 5 games, obviously. But do you even look at it in season where you are versus this point last year, or is that something for December, January?
Well, I mean, a little bit of both. I mean, you self-scout every single week. You look at progress. You know, are you excelling at the things that you really focus on, getting better, things that win games? Are you running the ball better? Are you stopping the run? Have you increased your ability to sustain drives? Is your third down and red zone percentages, are they going up? And then are you winning more? You know, so there's certainly progress within the program. Every single game, it's either been a win or a very competitive game going out of the wire, and that was maybe not so much the case a year ago, but this is the kind of progress that we want to have, and we want to keep that trajectory, you know, going that way, just continue to be ascending in our trajectory so we can continue pursuing the things that we want to be.
Did you speak to anyone personally, an old colleague or coach or anyone about just like how to kind of bounce back and any advice on bouncing back from tough losses like that?
You talk about in terms of our staff?
Well, your staff or just anyone outside who you're close to.
Right. Well, I think throughout the season you always refer to some people that are, I would say, mentors to you or whatnot. You draw on your own experiences as well, and you talk to people whose opinions have value, that can relate or are intuitive enough to be able to provide some helpful comments if it's there. And also, even more important is knowing exactly what's up and talking to your people and being tight and staying tight with your people.
Myron, how tough have these days since that game been for you personally? You've really
I think anytime you lose a game, it's I played here, it's agonizing whenever you lose a game, but that's all right. I mean, to do this job and to do what we do, you got to be a really, really tough person, and that's what you have in this building 24/7. And not just myself, the people. Talk about the players, talking about the coaches. That is a given in terms of the DNA necessary to be a Miami Hurricane at any level. So that's part of it. It needs to be. If it's not, we got the wrong person in the building, quite honestly.
Tyler's performance after watching the film, what did you think of what you saw on tape?
Well, I know he'd like to have a couple throws back, but you can't take away from the fact he made some monster plays as well to put us in position to win that game. And he's an unbelievable player and person and leader, and anything that he can get better at, he will. But again, he will tell you that it's not his best day, but proud of him for his effort, for his resiliency to continue to just keep coming and coming and coming, and giving us an opportunity to win the game.
All right, what'd you see with the red zone opportunities for your offense?
Yeah, not very unlike us, right? You know, numbers were way down. Certainly the penalty was a big one, you know, that put us back when we scored a touchdown. Down in the red zone, you've got to be able to run the ball, you know, a little bit more effectively. We had some opportunities. We could have executed some better. We could have called some better. We could have read some better. Just very below our standard for red zone, and it ends up being a big part of the teletape. You know, so.
How big of a game has Carolina become for teams in this conference with what Max been able to do?
Well, they've assembled an unbelievable roster. You know, recruiting has really taken shape there, because you look at them from top to bottom. They're talent laden at all positions. They're big and powerful up front. It showed them in the first game of the year. I believe they had 9 sacks against South Carolina. They're explosive out on the perimeter. Their backfield is dynamic. Their quarterback is dynamic. They've got a lot of NFL prospects on there, and they play well. They play hard. They play with toughness. They're physical. Just an excellent football team. You know, they're about as talented as a roster as you'll see.
UNC's receiver, Tez Walker, obviously a strange situation, what he went through, but he's back now.
Right.
How do you prepare for a player with his ability, and how do you prepare when there's only really 1 week of game tape available for him?
To the best of your ability. You know, anytime there's a transfer coming into a team, if you don't have film on them, you see what they did well, and maybe you try to configure, well, how's that fit into the system, or will they add this particular schematic tweak to the system, being that the player is really good at it. So you got to do a little bit of both, but you also keep in mind they have a lot of weapons, and they've used them really well. I mean, they've practically scored at will, you know, and their defense puts a lot of pressure on people for them to try to keep up, which really adds to the ability of that defensive line to create negative plays, sacks and tackles for losses. So they play excellent complementary football, you know, so the use of an added piece like that is certainly something that we're keeping an eye on.
And then kind of in the same vein, you guys faced Drake May here last year, and probably one of the better jobs that anyone did against him last year. What did you learn about his ability and what he brings to the field when you played him last year?
Well, he does it all, and the thing is, his understanding of the offense, coupled with his ability, is what makes it really, really hard to stop, because we all know about the dynamic arm. We all know about his ability to take off with the football as well, but he understands the game really well. The game's really slow for him. Does that make sense? The moment the ball is snapped, you can tell he knows what he's gonna do, and because of that, he can head fake you. You know, he can do some things that'll make you think this and him do that. So he exposed a lot of defenses with just his knowledge of the game and his ability to play into the scheme.
Remember your first press conference when you got hired at the IPA, you talked about, one of the things you talked about was block down noise. And I assume you've mentioned that to the team probably once or twice in the last 22 months. How valuable has that lesson been, and how difficult do you think it's been for everyone in this building to block down noise?
It's an everlasting lesson, really. If you're in athletics, right? Athletics seems to have gotten. I remember playing here, and the only noise was really the heralds, right? You know, outside of that, there was no other. You know, the coverage-wise, there were some other entities, but now I think we all know our athletes, our programs are subjected to a lot of noise, and it's just as important during tough times, even in good times too. You've really got to do a good job just putting that away, because when you feed off of that, man, it's hard to really comprehend and understand where your feet are and the reality of what you have to do week in and week out. And I think our guys have done a pretty good job about that. With that, it's just they're here for 4 hours a day. The other 20 or so hours they're away. But I'm confident in our leadership. I'm confident in their intent and their conviction to be really, really good, and that's going to be part of it. And at the same time, got to be able to deal with whatever surfaces with it.
Have you seen Drake add stuff to his game since you guys played last year?
Yeah, he's incredible. I mean, every throw, you name it. The deep ball, the back shoulder, the post, the seam, the quick game, the RPO, the quarterback runs, the improvised quarterback runs, extending plays. He does it all. He's made a lot of people miss too. One-on-one open field tackles, made people miss, put a foot in the ground, and scored it out for an extra 15, 20 yards. So he presents a tremendous challenge. You got to be really disciplined in what you do, and certainly just got to play in great football position all the time. You can't ever compromise rush integrity lanes, because if you do, he'll make you pay. You know, his pocket presence is that of someone who's been around. Seems like someone's been around for a long, long, long time. So credit to him. He's coached really well. He's a hell of a talent.
Mario, your relationship with Matt Brown, how well do you know him? And I also wanted to ask about Keenan Memorial Stadium, your experiences there.
I don't know Coach Brown extremely well. Obviously, he's a guy that's been around for a long time, super well respected in the profession. Got a chance to meet up at ACC meetings, and he's a very well respected person, not only nationally but within the conference as a voice for college football. In terms of playing over there, I've been an assistant coach while playing over there, and understand how it's a great college atmosphere, right? It gets loud, it gets ruckus, and a great opportunity. It's why you play at the University of Miami, to be able to play in games like this and create the buzz for an atmosphere like the one we're going to walk into on Saturday.
Recruiting momentum seems to still be building. I guess just what does that say about big picture, about the belief in the trajectory you guys are on?
Well, I think what's obvious is the constant ascension of the program. Things are getting better across the board. We did not get the result we wanted to on Saturday. That's as obvious as the day is long. But so is our progress. And I think people see that. People have been waiting for that. Now that they see it, it's piling on. It's building upon itself. And what it allows you to do is probably the most important thing in recruiting. And besides, let me put it this way: it's not just finding the talented players, right? It's making sure that it's really, really talented players that are really, really good people and really hard workers that want to compete and that want to be at the University of Miami for the right reasons. For as much as what they could do at Miami for Miami, tied into what Miami could do for them and their futures. And that's starting to come together. And they also recognize that last year's class and what seems to be building for this year's class is a really, really special group of guys, the right kind of people. So the momentum is going strong, and we intend to build on that momentum even more.